When the river swallowed 10 children in one night, no one slept in Koko village again. Mothers cried by the banks, fathers dug empty graves, and the air was filled with questions no one could answer. But it all started with love, a love that broke a sacred rule. Welcome to African Folktales with RAWBET, your best folktales channel ever. Please enjoy this mind-blowing story. And don't forget to subscribe. Let's go. The village of Koko stood quietly near the edge of River Lomi, a wide river that had given the people fish, water, and stories for many generations. Everyone in the village knew that the river was sacred. It belonged to the water goddess, Reby. No one swam in it without permission, no one fished on certain days, and no one, absolutely no one, was allowed to speak her name loudly at night. In that same village, the chief priest, Malam Boko, was a man of great respect. He had served the gods for 20 years. People came to him for healing, blessings, and advice. He lived alone, spent his days at the shrine, and never married. That was the law. Chief priests must stay holy and separate. But something changed in him after a strange dream he had one rainy night. He saw a beautiful woman rise from the river, her skin glowing like morning dew. She spoke to him in a soft voice, calling his name like she knew him from long ago. When he woke up, he was sweating and confused. Days later, the same woman appeared to him at the riverbank. She said her name was Zinariya, daughter of Reby. She had been watching him for years. Malam Boko tried to stay away, but the more he saw her, the weaker he became. They started meeting in secret at night. One moonless night, they crossed the line. That night would change Koko village forever. Zinariya stopped meeting Boko at the river. She had grown silent, distant. Then one afternoon, as he sat in the shrine preparing herbs, she appeared, her face pale and troubled. "I carry your child," she said as Zinariya screamed in pain. Lightning flashed across the sky. The river roared louder with each contraction. Elders gathered in prayer. The king watched from his palace steps, unsure if they were witnessing a miracle or the end. Boko dropped the calabash he was holding. The news struck him like lightning. No chief priest had ever fathered a child, let alone with a spirit being. It was more than a sin. It was a taboo that could bring shame or destruction. The child was born at the stroke of midnight. He came out quiet, his eyes wide open, glowing faintly like the river at dawn. Zinariya held him close, then looked at Boko. "His name is Lamido," she whispered. "He is a prince of both worlds." "We must hide it," he whispered. Zinariya shook her head. "I cannot hide it from my mother. She already knows." Suddenly, the river calmed. The sky cleared. The goddess did not appear. For the first time in weeks, silence brought peace instead of fear. The people waited. Was it over? The words chilled Boko. The water goddess, Reby, was known for her fierce temper. She protected the river and punished anyone who broke her laws. If she knew, the entire village could suffer. Boko went into hiding. He stopped performing sacrifices. People noticed his absence, but he gave no reason. Zinariya stopped coming to the river. No one saw her again. Then strange things began to happen. The river changed color. The fish died. One morning, a child disappeared while fetching water. Another drowned the next day. Rumors spread like wildfire. The elders summoned Boko, but he refused to appear. Fear spread in Koko like smoke. The people knew something had been broken. They just didn't know how bad it was. The king of Koko, Sakindola, was a proud and wise man. He had ruled for 30 years and kept the village peaceful. When he heard of the river changes and the missing children, he sent guards to the shrine. Next morning, the king called for a sacred meeting. All elders, priestesses, and warriors gathered in the palace square. Zinariya appeared with the child wrapped in white cloth. Boko stood beside her, head bowed. Boko was dragged before the village square. He looked tired, his eyes sunken, his hands shaking. Sakindola looked him in the eye. "What have you done, Malam Boko?" "We must decide his fate," said the king. "This child may be a gift or a threat." Boko fell to his knees and confessed everything. He told them about Zinariya, her beauty, the secret meetings, and the child. The crowd gasped. The king stood in silence, his face red with anger. Some elders argued that the child should be returned to the river. Others said he was their only hope. Zinariya stood silently, her eyes filled with tears. "You, a chief priest, have broken the holiest rule. You have laid with the daughter of the goddess. You have brought a curse upon us." Then the oldest elder, Bobazaki, spoke. "We have offended the river. But perhaps this child is our atonement. Let us raise him among us but train him in the ways of both spirit and man." Boko wept. "I loved her. I did not mean to harm anyone." There was silence, then slow nods. The king agreed. "We shall try." But the king would not hear it. Love is not an excuse for foolishness. You will be stripped of your title and banished. Let the gods deal with you. The people shouted in agreement. Some cried. Others were afraid. The river had already taken 3 more children. The fear was growing. The king declared a 7-day fast. Sacrifices were offered to the river, but it only grew worse. Thunderstorms began to rage, and the river rose higher than ever before. It was only the beginning. On the 7th night, the sky turned dark, even though the moon was full. The river roared like a beast, and the wind screamed through the village. Then they saw her. Uwajida Ruwa rose from the water, taller than a tree, her eyes glowing red. Lomido grew quickly. By his 3rd year, he could speak to animals. By his 5th, he calmed the storm with his cries. But he also became withdrawn. Children avoided him. Some feared him. Others called him River Eyes. Zinariya stood in the river and pointed toward the village. Her voice was like thunder. "My son has been avoided by a mortal. You shall pay." Zinariya, now weak from her spirit form fading, watched helplessly. Boko taught the boy herbs and prayers, but even he struggled to understand Lomido's gifts. One day, the boy vanished into the river. Everyone feared the worst. Children screamed and ran. But 3 days later, he returned unharmed. "She wants to meet you," he told Boko his father. "Mother is waiting." He turned back into the water. Suddenly, waves came crashing down on the village. Huts near the river were washed away. The ground trembled. The people ran, but many were too late. That night, 12 children drowned after the flood. Only silence remained. The village was broken. People wept in the streets. The king called the elders together. "We must find a way to stop this, or we will all die." But no one had an answer. No one dared go near the river. And Zinariya was nowhere to be found. Days passed and the village became quiet, too quiet. Then one evening, Zinariya walked into the village. Her eyes were filled with sadness. The people stared in shock. Some ran. Others hid. There, under the moonlight, Iwajida Ruwa appeared again. She moved straight to the shrine. Zinariya was now stuck between 2 worlds. Neither fully spirit nor fully human. "You broke my law," she said to Malam Boko. "But you also gave me a grandson." The elders took the news to the king. He called Zinariya to his palace. She came without fear. The king asked her, "Why have you returned?" She knelt. "Forgive me. I only followed my heart. To save my child. He is not a curse. He is a bridge. But if you reject him, the river will not stop like you. He is something new. If your people reject him again, I will finish what I started." The king looked into her eyes. He saw pain, not pride. "What must we do?" Zinariya said, "You must accept him. And you must bring back Boko." The king was silent. The village had already lost 20 children. Time was running out. The king sent men into the forest and beyond the hills to search for Malam Boko. Weeks passed. Just when hope began to fade, a hunter returned with news. Boko was living in a small hut near a cave far from the village, alone and silent. Baba Zaki brought out an old scroll hidden in the shrine. It told of a child born from spirit and man, destined to either unite the realms or destroy both. The king went to him personally. Boko looked older, his beard longer, his eyes empty. "Why have you come?" he asked. The village was thrown into confusion. Some called for Lomido's exile. Others wanted to make him a priest. "Your child lives," the king said, "and the goddess has not stopped. We need your help. Zinaria is begging for peace. He is only a boy. Let him choose his path." Boko shook his head. "I brought this on all of us. I cannot fix it." The king agreed to wait. But tension grew. But the king knelt before him. "Then let us try together." Something in Boko's heart softened. He packed his things and followed the king back. The village was quiet when they arrived. "He is coming." Whispers turned to arguments. Some built shrines for Boko and Lomido. Others threw stones at him. One night, a fire broke out near Boko's hut. Lomido barely escaped. Outside, the river trembled again. The wind began to rise. It was time. The boy fled into the forest. Zinaria, now fading completely, begged Boko to find him. "If he dies out there, we all die." Boko followed the trail into the sacred woods, whispering his son's name into the dark. In the forest, Lomido met ancient spirits. Some welcomed him. Others tested him. He fought a wind demon, healed a bleeding tree, and crossed a bridge made of bones. Boko found Lomido at dawn, surrounded by glowing fireflies. The boy hugged his father. "I'm ready now." They returned to the village. The people gathered, stunned. Lomido spoke, "I will no longer hide. I will serve both worlds. But if you turn on me again, you will answer to her." The sky rumbled as if agreeing. That night, Iwajida Ruwa appeared again. "You have one chance. Accept him, or be forgotten." The people fell to their knees. The king stood and declared Lomido the new keeper of the river. Zinaria smiled, then faded into the wind. Lomido built a new shrine beside the river. He taught the people balance, when to give, when to take, and when to listen. The river calmed. Fish returned. Crops grew. The missing 20 children returned, all found floating on the river. Children played again. But some still feared the boy with glowing eyes. One dry season, the river began to vanish. People blamed Lomido. Some said he had turned against them. He walked into the dry riverbed and knelt. For 7 days, he prayed. On the 8th, rain returned, pouring for hours. Those who doubted wept. A dark spirit from the northern hills came to challenge Lomido. It entered the dreams of children, poisoned wells, and darkened the sun. Lomido confronted it at the village gate. They fought without swords, only words, fire, and light. In the end, Lomido called upon both mother and father spirits. The darkness vanished. Years passed. Lomido grew into a man. The village thrived. He taught the children of both spirit and man. He never married. But every child called him father. On his 30th birthday, Iwajida Ruwa appeared one last time. "You have healed what was broken." She blessed the village and returned to the river forever. Long after Lomido passed, the people of Koko told his story by the fire. They called him the River Prince, the child who united two worlds. When storms came, they left offerings at his shrine. When babies were born, they whispered his name. And the river never rose in anger again. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe, like and comment. And also do well to check out our other contents like Mr. Talk and Do Principle.